Thank you so much for watching WRIF TV. Now, this interview is obviously with video, but I don't interview everybody on Zoom. That's why I put it on my Talkin' Rock with Meltdown podcast. We talk to rock artists from all over the genre. So check out Talkin' Rock with Meltdown wherever you get your podcasts. And now to today's video interview.
Yeah, so how's 2020 going for you so far, 2022?
Yeah, listen, it's definitely 2022. Not 2020. It was cool, you know, look, I'm gonna be honest, I fucking hate Januaries, man. Januaries just suck. You know, I've tried to figure out a way to revamp Januaries, man, where they're just a little better, but it's just, you're coming out of the holidays and then it's just, back to reality. And then a lot of time it's back to reality. That's just a bunch of crap and everybody's slow to get back to their offices. So you're waiting on people. I mean, I could go on and on.
Yeah.
But in all of that crap, Evanescence, we actually, not by design, ended up going out and doing, we had to do 5 makeup shows for our tour with Hailstorm. We had to postpone the last 5 dates in the Northeast because we had a COVID outbreak on the tour. And luckily we were able to make them up. So that was a lot of fun, man, being able to do that and get out there and still play when we didn't think we were going to be playing in January. So that was cool. And there's, a bunch of other things on the horizon. Got some more Evanescence stuff coming up, got some Slaughter stuff coming up, got, this Tempest stuff has come out, which we're really stoked about. And, yeah, there's a lot going on. So just starting to kind of get into the crux of getting busy again and some positive energy going,
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And you are right about January, by the way. It is like, especially when you're up here in the Midwest. I grew up in Buffalo. Now I'm here in Detroit. It's like,
yeah,
it was like 9 degrees this morning. So, and it's snow and yeah, there's nothing really going on, no tours and stuff like that. But you just brought it up. So you Evanescence and Slaughter. And I know you've answered this question a billion times, but just to appease us here in the Motor City, how do you work with a classic rock band like Slaughter, and you're also in a modern rock band? I was thinking about this. I can't think of anybody else who does this.
I'm trying to think. Is there anybody? There's got to be. I mean, it'll come to me.
Okay.
But for me, I grew up on that stuff, so I was just a big fan. And I remember, I saw Slaughter. I had actually gotten their record. I was probably, I think it was just 18. I graduated high school. I joined this band that back in the day we called them circuit bands, and where we had a semi, we had a full light show, so it was like full PA crew, and these guys were older than me. And we would go, it's basically like an arena show in a club. So I was just kind of getting my professional feet underneath me, and got that Slaughter record came out near the same time. And we were big Def Leppard fans in that band. And we just heard that record. We're like, God, listen how good this sounds. And the songs were great.
Yeah.
The production was great, and so it was and then we got to go, we had a moment off in Jackson, Mississippi where we were playing, and the Kiss Hot in the Shade tour came through, and it was Slaughter, Winger, and Kiss. And so we went and we saw Slaughter, and they came out and just blew the roof off the place. And it's like, holy crap, these guys are, the record's good and they're good live. And just that left a big impression on me at, 19. And so I emulated some of that. And so I was a big fan, you know what I mean? So fast forward many years, playing, what would be really super modern rock or, metal, new metal, whatever you want to call it. And wound up getting a chance to play with them. And it was like, man, that's pretty awesome. Getting to play in a band that I kind of, really liked. I was a big fan of.
Yeah, but wait a second, hold on. You don't just go from 19, also now you're in the band in the 2000s or whatever. But
yeah.
But now, did you kind of make that connection through playing with Vince Neil and Dana?
No, actually that connection came from a really good friend of mine who is actually a Michigan native, this guy, Jeff Blando.
Oh yeah. From Flint, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so he and I have been really tight friends since, the early 90s. We go way back. So when Tim Kelly passed away, he was actually running sound for Slaughter and got into Slaughter. This is back in 97, maybe, or 98, somewhere around there. And So he was playing with them, and then when they made a switch to Bloss wanted to do something else. I think it was Blue Man Group. They called me because I was tight with Blando, and they knew that I could do it. So this is right when, right as we were forming Dark New Day, me and Corey Lowry and Clint Lowry, Troy McLaughlin, we were forming Dark New Day. And so I played in Slaughter for about a year while we were making that record. And then, went on, did other things. So Vince came later. That the Vince thing came when I filled in for Tommy in Motley.
Right.
So it's it's crazy.
I know your resume is insane.
It's bizarre. That's what it is.
Especially with with growing up. So I think I'm about a year and a half older than you. And so we kind of grew up in the same, I know exactly. As a matter of fact, it was on this date back in 1984. I saw my first concert, Ozzy and Motley Crue.
Oh, wow. See, you're lucky. I didn't get to see that tour. I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah, with Wasted opening up. So, all right. So you brought it up. So, your influences are, Tommy Lee's one of your guys. All of a sudden you get a chance to play in Motley Crue. I mean, that's insane.
That was the most bizarre, awesome, cool, you can't dream of it kind of thing because, I grew up, I'm born in Gainesville, but grew up in Tallahassee, which is, a small town in the panhandle of Florida near Destin, where you're talking about.
Yeah.
And so, as a kid and idolizing him, you never think that you're going to make it in this business on any level or meet your heroes at all. Because, Motley Crue wasn't coming through Tallahassee. So the fact that some dumb kid from Tallahassee, not only did I meet and play for Tommy, but now I'm filling in for him in Motley Crue. It's just this surreal thing, that I can't even.
After Methods of Mayhem.
Correct.
So you were like, this whole thing is bizarre. When I was like getting ready for this interview today, I'm like, wait a second, hold on. You grew up idolizing Tommy Lee. Now you're playing drums in his band.
Yeah.
Methods of Mayhem and in Motley. Yeah. I mean, it's like you can't even script that.
No, and I remember the day that I was actually, it was April 1st, all right? And I was cleaning my grandmother-in-law's pool, doing a solid for my wife and cleaning her pool. I'm out there cleaning the pool, and my phone rings, and it's Tommy. He's like, dude, how quick can you get to the airport? I'm like, okay, I'll play this silly game, with or without luggage. And he's like, without. And I'm like, I don't know, 2 hours. He's like, go. I'm like, what? He's like, I hurt my hand, or that time it was his shoulder. He's like, I hurt my shoulder and I can't play. I need you to fill in for me. And I'm like, I'm just sitting there with this phone in my hand, thinking to myself, what the fuck? and then I realized, oh, it's April 1st. It's April Fool's Day. I was like, man, you got me. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, it's April Fool's Day. And he's like, no. He's like, I'm serious. He's like, my tour manager's calling. And then bing, bing, bing. Tour manager's calling. Like, hold on. He's like, I'm booking you a flight right now. They were in the west coast of Canada.
Yeah.
So, it was just very bizarre. 24 hours later, I'm on stage with Motley Crue. With Mickey Six looking back at me. Like, this is incredible.
How many shows did you play? Like 6 or 8 or something?
I did the last 7 shows on the Carnival of Sins tour.
Wow. Man, that's got to be a dream come true. But then you're playing with Methods of Mayhem. This was, okay, so what year was the Motley Crue thing? That was in what, 08?
2007.
Okay, it's 2007. So Methods of Mayhem was in the early 2000s, around 02 or something, right?
2002, yep.
Okay, so so you're playing drums in Tommy Lee's band. I mean, is he telling you, hey, Will, do this, do that, or do you just do your own thing?
No, I mean, we're friends, and I mean, that's part of the reason that he hired me to be in the band with him. It was between me and another guy, and I won't say who the other guy was because he's a phenomenal drummer, and everybody knows who this dude is. But what it boiled down to is Tommy's like, you know what? He's like, you guys are similar drummers. He's like, but I chose you because I can hang out with you. And so we've been good buddies ever since then. And, and he would, like, when I first started doing it, that record, Never a Dull Moment, was about to come out. So he played drums on the record. So it was just me and him in a rehearsal room without the band. And he would play the song for me, just so much easier to just see somebody do it. And I would just sit back and just, of course I'm blown away. I'm 4 feet away from my hero who's just crushing the drums right in front of me. And then he's like, that's it, man. He's like, how's that? You got it? I'm like, man, can you play that for me again, man? One more time, I was just, it's incredible. So cool.
Now, when you were playing with Motley, did you take all of Tommy's all of his antics, the cage and the whole thing, or did you just kind of do your thing in the background and let the rest of the guys do their thing?
No, they want. I mean, so Tommy was there, right? Because in order for the shows to still play, part of the contract, he had to still be there. So he sort of emceed the show, so to speak.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And at that point, he was doing the solo where he had this kit made of saw blades and all these weird metal things, and he was still kind of doing that. But I was playing the main set,
Mm-hmm.
so I wasn't going up into the rafters. I didn't do that stuff, but I did the set. But look, man, it was enough for me, man. Stuff blowing up all around you, and it's just crazy. It's awesome.
That's an incredible story. I forgot about that. And then I was reading your bio and stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And then fast forward, then Evanescence came along right after that. And I mean, it's funny because like in Slaughter and stuff, you're playing like these these smaller clubs and stuff. Like we were talking before we started that Club LA gig. There's 400 or 500 people there, or whatever. And then this Evanescence Hailstorm tour just went out. You're playing arenas and stuff.
Right.
Talk about that dichotomy.
It's interesting, man, because like with this Evanescence tour, first of all, our record came out about a March of last year. It came out mid-March. So, but we weren't able to tour for any of it because of what was going on. So the first shows that we played for this record started in the beginning of November, which we were in Detroit. And one of the things that we did was we have the biggest production that we've ever had. I mean, this show that we're carrying with us is just incredible. So, and that's something that's one big difference between doing Slaughter type gigs or whatever, and then doing Evanescence gigs. That Evanescence was just this grand scale, and playing Slaughter does theaters, larger clubs, casinos, stuff like that, and those are cool too.
Probably.
Yeah, because you're a little closer to the audience. It's like when you're in a big arena, you still feel the energy, but it's not quite as in your face. With me and with this production, I'm a little bit farther back, and but they both have their perks, man. I like doing both. I like to play no matter what. There's somebody there that wants to listen, I'm down.
Yeah, there's a really cool video you posted on your socials. I don't know when it was, but it was in the last few months. But somebody had your drum world, and they came up behind you, and you were doing a drum solo. It was really cool.
Oh yeah. I think, what song was that? I can't remember what song that was, but yeah, it's from the new run. Yeah, we've got this little cubby hole underneath the stage where my tech lives, and it's crazy, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, we'll get into some more worlds coming up here in a little bit, but the Tempest project now, of course, since things have kind of gotten back to normal, it depends, I guess, where you are in the country. Here in Michigan, it's like things are kind of normal, but so one of the questions I'd ask is, what have you been doing during the pandemic? So you obviously during the pandemic, you started this the Tempest project, and tell us who's in the band. First of all, I know who's in the band, but tell everybody who's watching or listening.
So it's myself. It's a really, really good friend of mine, Ron Poisson from, he owns a clothing company called Cult of Individuality, which makes like high-end, like Japanese selvage denim, this kind of stuff. But it's really like high-end denim. And I'm a jeans whore. Like that's my thing, is I love denim. And so years ago, I bought a pair of jeans from Cult of Individuality because it's, again, just really high-end, nice denim. And ended up meeting Ron years later. Didn't even know he was a singer. We just met completely on a fashion, clothing thing, and then found out he was a singer. And like, damn, dude, you actually can sing. So we started talking about doing a couple of cover songs, which is being locked down. And then he was pretty good friends with the guys from Bad Wolves, Doc, Chris, and Kyle, sorry, the two guitar players and the bass player from Bad Wolves. And so he said, let me call these guys. They'll probably be down with it. So he did, and they're like, yeah, let's do it. So we just remotely recorded, had a good friend of mine here in Orlando mix it, and we listened back to it like, man, this sounds good, man. Let's do something with it. So
now
one thing led to
what did you record? Did you record these covers or something different?
We recorded these two covers, just kind of the starting point, we recorded Sober by Tool, and we recorded Dead Memories by Slipknot. And that was actually the first one, because right around the time we were talking about doing this and trying to figure out which songs to do, Joey passed. And so we just thought, Ron had actually mentioned that song, a couple weeks before Joey passed. And then when he did pass, it's like, okay, that's not a sign. Let's do that song. And so it's mostly done in a tribute to him. And then we did, the other one. So I don't know what will happen next. Like, I know that Chris has mentioned, hey, let's write some stuff, and I'm down. Let's do it. Obviously there's a cool sound here. And so I'd like to think that there might be some more new original music coming in the future from us. But we'll see. They have a new record. Bad Wolves has a new record that just came out, which is really good. And they're, I think, about to start touring behind that. So, but there'll be some time. I think we'll do some more stuff.
Yeah, and you it's not like you don't have enough stuff going on with your puppy and everything else. But so, well, have you ever met? Did you ever get a chance to meet Joey?
Oh yeah. So, I auditioned for Korn back before I got the Evanescence gig.
Wow. Okay.
And got pretty close to getting the gig, and then Joey was sitting. Slipknot was sitting because I think Corey and Jim were doing Stone Sour. So he called up Jonathan or someone and just said, "Hey, I'm sitting. I'd like to do it." And they're like, "Great, this guy's going to put asses in seats. Put him in there." And it was weird, man, because I think Joey is really incredible at doing Joey. But where Korn is just this slow and sludgy music, you know what I mean? It was like, it was different for him, So anyways, fast forward a couple months later. And the reason that I got that audition was because Dark New Day. So Clint Lowry had been hired to be the fill-in guitar player when Head wasn't in the band.
Yeah.
So he was doing it, and we were in the process of making another Dark New Day record at the time. So he hit me up and said, "Hey, they're auditioning drummers." I'm like, "Great," he got me out there. So I went. Joey called. Yeah, obviously for obvious reasons they put him in it. I didn't get it. A month later, I got the Evanescence gig, and then we were on tour together in Europe, and then we did Family Values, together 3 months later. And I saw Joey. I hung out with Joey sometimes, and he's a cool guy, man. Very quiet, not crazy rager, partier, throw down kind of cat, but a very nice guy, really gentle. Cool to watch him do his thing. It's just, gone too soon. I can say that.
Yeah.
A bummer.
I'm not a drummer or a musician, which I have to say all the time because I don't know. So like you guys do your thing, but Joey seemed like a machine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He wasn't flailing. He wasn't, like Shannon Larkin he was just a machine. And he was like a train just going right down the tracks. And he was so good. That's the way I saw it anyway.
Well, no, you're right. And I think the thing about him that's, his appeal really is, like I said, Joey was great at Joey. Joey was great in Slipknot. If anybody saw Joey play with Korn, if anybody saw Joey play with Rob Zombie, that was a weird fit for him, and I think that Joey was really incredible at Joey. And like, when you listen to those Slipknot records, which I love, his style is just so killer, and that's what I loved about him, is like, he was doing stuff like in Dead Memories, for example. There's drum fills in that song that are completely unorthodox for a song of that tempo. I mean, he's flying through these fills. And also where normally that would sound really, obtrusive, like trying to fit a square into a circle, it works. Like, he figured out a way to make that work, and it was him, and it was his style. And I can't say enough cool stuff about that, about him being him,
Now, I know these songs are, you just released them, but have you gotten any response from the Tool or the Slipknot camp?
No. Last time I saw the Slipknot guys, it was a very strange situation. I don't know if you know about this or not, but Evanescence was a co-headliner of I want to say co-headliner, but we were the band to play right before Slipknot at Knotfest, Mexico.
Okay.
And oh my God, this is crazy. So there was a massive riot. We didn't end up playing, and nor did they.
Oh.
So that's the last time I saw those guys.
That's
our stuff is all up on stage, we were ready to play and everything. And then just, I can't even get into the whole story, but basically the barricades weren't bolted together. And after 4 hours of no music, after, 20 bands had played, no one's playing in the crowd, there's 80,000 people all in the sing, and the barricades aren't. It was nuts, man. People stormed the stage, burned my drum kit down. I mean, it was nuts.
Oh my God.
I haven't seen them since, but
I was going to say, well, it seems like your phone number is probably in a lot of guys' phones. It seems like the more I talk to you, the more guys that you seem to know or have a connection with. So I didn't know if Corey had contacted you or anything. So
no, I mean he and Amy don't have his number, but I've hung out with Corey several times. He's a great guy. All those guys. I've hung out with Sean a couple times, Clown, and they're killer people, man. I love those guys, and
yeah.
And then, they made it right, man. That was a really, really unfortunate situation, particularly for us because we lost a lot of gear. But they made it right, man. They're really, really good people, man. Again, I can't say enough good things about those guys.
Yeah, and Chris Feign actually is one of my buds. He lives not too far away from where I am right now. Unfortunately, he's not in the band anymore, but
Yeah, well, yeah. Growing pains. What can you say?
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that some other time. But hey,
yeah.
Real fast, I got a few other things I want to ask you about. So I've never asked David Draymond about this, but why do you think Device didn't work? What was the deal with that? Because the reason I bring it up is because he's got a new single out now, Anita Strauss, that's doing really well.
Yeah.
So
right.
And I don't know, like you guys came out, did that one record, and then it kind of put it on the back burner, and it's just, you haven't heard from it again. Just curious if you have any thoughts on that.
Man, wow, how can I put this? It's politically correct.
Or you can just skip and say I'll pass. I don't care. Whatever you want to do.
Well, it's a look, that's a great album. I'm proud of what we did do. David obviously has a phenomenal voice. I mean, that guy can sing over a toilet flushing, and it's going to sound incredible.
Yeah,
it's probably going to wind up in the #1 single on rock radio. I mean, he's got a unmistakably powerful, incredible voice, man, and he writes great melodies and. It's all those things. And I think that what happened for us was that we sort of got caught in a weird time. And I don't want to call it necessarily a changing of the guard, but the reality of it was that we had the #1 song at rock radio for, I think it was 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. And everybody, anybody who's in this business knows that's not easy to do. Like if you achieve that, it's not easy to do, so we were really proud of it. But one thing that we noticed was it just did not translate into putting people in seats. And I think that was one thing, but we had never really done a major tour, and we were just about to start doing those major tours. Like what we had coming up, we were supposed to be direct support for Five Finger Death Punch and Avenged Sevenfold over in Europe. And then we had like Aftershock Festival and stuff like that out on the West Coast. So we had a bunch of really big things. And the festivals that we did do, like Rock on the Range and stuff like that, where we were in front of a big crowd, we just crushed it. So I think everything was moving in the right direction. But at the very same time all that was happening, keep in mind that, Disturbed was taking a break, a hiatus. And the other guys did their thing and David did his thing. And I think that part of it was there was a pull from some powers that be to put that back together, to get that back for obvious reasons. And then on the flip of it, David's wife had just gotten pregnant, like literally right when we started touring. And I think he had his plate full, man. I think that I don't think that he planned on that happening. I just think that it wound up, there was a tremendous amount of pressure on him from a family side, which totally get, and also from a professional side, because hey, the beast that is Disturbed was sleeping, but there were a lot of people trying to wake that up. And so I think that as things were just kind of going, it was just like, man, this is too tough to pull off right now. And that was that, unfortunately.
Now, I really like David. You keep in contact with David?
I haven't talked to him in a while. I wish him the best. I know he's doing well, and guy's always going to land on his feet, still killing it. Like I said, he sings on it over a toilet flushing, and it's a hit song. So it's incredible, man. He's a really talented guy.
And speaking of singers, you mentioned now, Blando from Michigan here. You've also played with Jeff Goot. Well, it's Blando's a guitar player, but yeah, Jeff. So he's from here. He's a friend of ours. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. So Jeff and I have a band called Rival City that we have recorded music for that's going to be coming out. We're finally at a point where we can get it out, and we're stoked about that, man. You guys will be hearing about that shortly.
All right.
I think we've just secured a label partner for that, and so that's another thing that's on my my itinerary this year. But that's a priority because, like I said, man, we've been working on that for a long time, and it's finally at a point where like, okay, it's time. And we're super, super, super proud of that music. It's next freaking level, man.
All right, and that's Rival City. Okay.
Yep.
Have to pay attention to that coming up here. Yeah, Jeff's a great guy and a super talent.
Oh my God, man. He and I write together so well. Like you talk about a writing team, him, myself, and our producer, Kevin Churko, the three of us together writing. It's just some of the cool, I hold that up with some of the coolest stuff that I've ever been a part of being able to write, like this new Evanescence record, which I'm also super proud of. I put it up there with any of that stuff that for me is just really special.
Yeah, and Kevin Churko has worked with all those tons of bands.
Everybody.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, a couple more things here for you. So, all right, so I do know, well, apparently you've played with everybody, and I know a lot of people. I've been in this business for 32 years. So let's see. My friend JD wanted me to ask you about Club Willis.
Well, there's several Club Willises. There's
now JD, for those who don't know, is JD from Black Label Society, and you spent some time there too. So go ahead.
That's basically where, I think it just became this thing, this like after show hang where I just kind of get, speakers and get some music and crank some stuff up. And, it just becomes this communal hang for anybody that wants to hang out after the show. And, in certain tours, it's just grown into this beast where it's like, okay, we can't fit. We're in a room that should have no more than 25 people, and there's 100 people in here. Like, we've got to start turning people away. It's like, I think Club Willis might have to invest in a doorman and, some security. I mean, a couple tours, it just got stupid.
And that was only with Black Label, or is that with following different bands?
I think that started back in, I don't even know, man, like back in Evanescence. It actually started at my house with my wife. I think she's the one that coined that term. So now at my house, it's not Club Willis, and now it's Club Willis or Pub Willis, pub and sports. so we've branched off into pubs. So there's, as you get older, you're not out clubbing, so now you're just hitting the pub.
All right. I'll look for my invitation next time you're in Detroit.
Absolutely.
For Club Will or Pub Willis or whatever you want to call it. All right, Mark Slaughter says you have some unfiltered take on events, and you should have your own morning show. We'll be right back with Will in the Morning.
So this is funny. And I don't know who coined this, man. I think it was Dana Strum, but like, those guys, the way that they travel, if they do 3 shows in a row, you play the show, you're back at the hotel at midnight, lucky to be in bed by 1 o'clock in the morning, and then lobby calls like, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. So you're going on no sleep, and I'm not a morning person anyways, man. Like, I need a solid 6 hours and some coffee before I talk to anybody. And then, you got to be with everybody and function. I'm just like, and then, it's like certain things just tee me off, man. And I'll just say what I think, dude used to get kicked in his, and then Dana Strum started going, and we'll be right back with Will in the Mornings. And it's just like, it's just become this whole thing, man. Of, don't touch that dial, 66.666, like just become this whole thing, man. I'm trying to do better in the mornings, but it's not going to happen. Not with 3 hours of sleep.
I don't know Dana that well, but he's a super, super nice guy, man. I've met him a few times down in Florida. When I saw him down there, he came right up to me and said hello. And just a really nice.
Oh, he's great. He's a great guy, man. That guy's a legend. I think a lot of people don't really know the lineage with that dude and how much that guy's done for, our music. He was responsible for Randy and Ozzy's band, responsible for Jake and Ozzy's band. He's responsible for, the things that he's produced and stuff like that. People don't even know. And he's just, and that's the thing about playing in Slaughter. That's the other part of this, is that it's a real joy to play with those guys and to be with those guys because we're friends and we like what just Will in the Morning thing. Like, there's so many things like that within that camp that, that we just have a good time together, and it's, and I don't want to sound like it's good, wholesome, clean fun, but it's good energy fun. It's not getting in trouble, kind of doing stupid thing kind of fun. It's just fun, man. Like, it's a good time.
Well, people probably on the outside don't realize this, but you guys have to live together. So as good as musician or as bad as musician as you are, I guess some of that matters a little bit, but I guess what matters a lot is that you got to be able to hang out.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I think it's the same thing in Evanescence. Like, we really get along well. You know, when Troy and I got in the band in 2007, you know, she was in the middle of a tour and called me. I was doing a Vince Neil gig in Vegas and said, you know, hey, I need a drummer and a guitar player. I said, well, I know a guitar player. And we'd never met, you know, and she was actually at her wedding. She was getting married the next day. And so we never met. She said, okay, cool. You're in, we're going to do rehearsals. She was like, you know, and by the way, you know, I may never do this again. I'm just going to finish this tour and then I don't know what's next. And so I just on a whim was like, you know what? We're going to try to, Troy and I are pros. We're going to try to show her a better time and maybe something will work out. You know, here we are, however many years later. And that part of that is because we've grown to be really good friends. You know, like when we enjoy hanging out with each other and when we're on tour together, there's no drama, everybody's cool. And then, you know, when we wrote this last record together, I mean, it's just, you do have to hang out with people. And I remember the first time that I auditioned for sort of my first pro gig. And I was like, God, I hope these guys like me. And there was an older guy from another band that I knew, more experienced dude. And he was just like, yeah, well, keep in mind that you're auditioning them too. He's like, because you've got to be able to hang out with these guys. You're going to be with them all the time. And, you know, it never occurred to me at 17 years of age that, oh, wait a second, you know what, this guy's right. You know, it is about the hang, you know, it's a big part. Yeah.
Well, you know, I was just telling Ben from Asking Alexandria, you play for free, but you know, you get paid for the travel and you guys spend, you know, 22.5 hours a day with these guys outside of the stage.
100% truth right there. You know, you really do. You get paid for the travel and all the other crap that goes on. You know, the part on stage is the fun part. You know, and also I also say that about the creative part. You know, I love creating and all that stuff, and everything else just kind of is the work that you do to get to those points. And you know, it's hopefully at the end of the day, it's all worth it. You know, and that you're doing it with people that are a positive influence in your life. You know, I think that's a big thing.
Yeah. All right, final question here for you, Will. I asked this on my social media last week, and I got a ton of response, so I'll ask you. The greatest living drummer.
Living?
Yeah.
Oh, my God, man. Oh, man, that's a really hard question. Greatest living, still playing? Like still performing?
Yeah.
Well, it's a toss-up for me, man, because, and I'm just going to stick to our genre, like heavy music, you know what I mean? So one person, obviously, that's going to be a two-way tie for me on one side of it. It's going to be Tommy, of course, because the guy still crushes it. But also Alex Van Halen. Like, that's a guy that you don't hear too much about anymore. But Jesus, you go back and you listen to those records, you know, and you know, rightfully so on the anniversary of Ed's passing. You know, God, he just incredible freaking drummer, man, just above and beyond skill wise. And then maybe on the more modern side, you know, I still think that it's really hard to beat Morgan Rose, man, from Seven Dust. I mean, the guy's just, I mean, what do you say about that dude? He's an alien. Yeah, he's an alien.
I just talked to Phil Verone last week, a fellow Floridian, if I'm not mistaken, and and he brought up Morgan's name as well as far as drummers are concerned. A lot of people said Danny Carey, and I love Danny Carey as well. And then you mentioned, I didn't realize that you had auditioned for Korn, but Ray Lazier is like he's on.
So there's another one. Yeah. There's another one. Like, Ray's incredible, very good friend of mine, and you know, I love that guy. And we talk quite a bit, and that's another funny story because, you know, actually when we were on Family Values, because Joey had only come in to play until I think January of that year, and so on Family Values, you know, the conversation came up again about me potentially being the guy. And I was like, yes, of course, I would love to do that. You know what I mean? Because Amy had said, you know, hey, I may not come back and do this again. So I figured, okay, great. She's going to be finished touring in November, and January, pick up a Korn. You know, if they want me, I'm down, you know. And then I saw Ray, I think it was like one of the last couple shows we did on Family Values. I saw Ray come in and was, you know, hanging out with Monkey and Jonathan. I'm like, well, that's that. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go look for something else. Yeah, and I just knew it. Yeah, he's incredible, and an incredible human being.
I was just gonna say, he's like one of the nicest people. You know?
Absolutely, man. We get along famously. We're a really good friend.
Well, I'll tell you what, Will, it's been great talking to you. Of course, the Tempest project, you got the Tool cover and the Slipknot cover. What's the name of the band again with Jeff Goot that you work on?
Rival City.
Rival
And yeah, Rival City. So that's going to be coming out. I don't know when, but I'd say start looking for a single like the next 3 or 4 months. It's going to be soon. I'm excited about that. It's going to be great. You know, everybody from Detroit knows about Jeff Goot for sure. And what we've done together is very special. So be on the lookout for that.
Well, that's cool, man. Well, listen, really great talking to you. Good luck with everything.
You too, man.
Stay safe, and we'll see you next time you're here in the Motor City.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man.